Welcome to Nubiart Diary number 426 for the 28th of February 2020. Nubiart, a different perspective on the African world. Okay, let's look at the February promos. First up is Amazon's Power by Les Amazons d'Afrique. It's out on Real World. This 13-track album from the female-led supergroup follows on from their highly acclaimed debut, Republic Amazon. There are a few omissions and additions as the sound modernizes and has established itself as a successful standalone project after a series of well-received gigs. There's no Omo Sangara here, but the range of contributors has widened to taking artists from the Americas and Europe, bringing in younger contributors, and there are men vocally supporting the issues that Les Amazons d'Afrique set out to highlight from the original conversations about gender equality back in 2014. The album is richly melodic, blending Pan-African styles and collaborative harmonies with gritty contemporary pop and rap, while producer Dr. L delivers a Congo-tronic-style production mix that keeps the sound up to date with the current musical trends. Original member Mamami Kita is at the core of the album, bringing her gorgeously fiery vocals to several tracks. Love denounces FGM as a barbaric practice, and for Mamami this should not be a holiday or celebration. The fight against this practice is serious and must begin with the education of children and women who deserve respect. On Smooth, Mamami Kita highlights the injustice women suffer and asks what they have done to deserve mistreatment, abuse, and violence throughout history. She demands that women be treated as equals and that they be given a place in leadership and roles of responsibility. She teams up with Amadou Dembele for two more songs, Timbuktu and Dogon. The latter is a tribute to the Fulani people by the Dogon and promotes the idea of coexistence and mutual respect between the different communities in Mali. This is very timely given the reciprocal attacks currently plaguing the country. Rokia Kone, the Rose of Bamako, grew up in the Bamanan region and so was naturally influenced by Bamanan Folly, one of the essential strains of Malian music. Her style is a mix of traditional Bamanan Dogo rhythms and modern sounds of blues, rock, and jazz. Her lyrics speak powerfully of themes of unity, social cohesion, and peace. Queens is a song of solidarity to young women in married life. Rokia sings on behalf of women in towns all across Mali who are disrespected by their husbands, their co-wives, and their in-laws every day. Women who have to stay strong and resilient. She also sings of her dreams. Red comes from a traditional Bambara song of celebration which carries a message of harmony and respect for one another. She sings, Biye Tolong Baye, today is a big event. The youngest new member of the group is the Guinean musician, dancer and artist Niario. She is on the track that opens the album, the funky lead single, Heavy. Here she teams up with Duran, Boyfal and Magir Duke, John Grace from Paris-based outfit Nyoko Bokbe. Heavy is a song about the women who have had the courage to build their own empire, their own life, their own business, and the strength to work hard to earn more money than their husband or men in general. It is a tribute to John Grace's grandmother, who he upholds as a role model for younger generations. He says, my grandmother came to Paris from Senegal and set up a business to support the family, leaving behind her husband. She is the perfect example of an Amazon, a woman from Africa who succeeded despite having been undermined and undervalued throughout her life. She took a lot of criticism for challenging the social norms. People had trouble understanding that a woman could be independent, go to work and earn money for her family. She brought my mother and all of her nieces with her and settled in Paris, where she established her own hair salon. She created her own empire. The official video for Heavy captures the band on their 2019 Summer Festival tour. Niario then teams up with Mali's biggest female rapper, Ami Yerawolo, who has a continent-wide following, and they deliver Smile. Ami creates beats with witty, smart, and occasionally acerbic lyrics in a mix of French and Bambara. The lyrics say, "We have a right to a future without negligence, a future without suffering, a future full of perspectives, full of joys and positivities. It's time to blossom." In expressing her feelings and trouble, Nyareu encourages women to stick together in the fight against inequality, hoping for a better future full of joy. She says, "To me particularly, the biggest message would be to say that there are voices that really need to be heard, and we have to make space for all women to express themselves and take part in solutions. We can't make feminism only about gender equality in Western countries when a lot of women don't have access to basic human rights. If we're not all free, then some become the oppressors while others stay oppressed." This project is called Les Amazons d'Afrique, but I think it's important not to put it in a box. People need to start realizing that the African continent is a significant part of the world. Everything is international about this project, from the people that worked on it to the languages and the sounds we're using to the message we're sharing, and I hope everyone will embrace it as a whole. Among the other newbies is Beninese vocalist Farafina, whose versatile range connects the musical influence of her Ghanaian grandmother, gospel and soul genres, and cultural styles from Nigeria to Burkina Faso, having sung with the likes of Lionel Richie, Morikante, Fada Freddy, Hank Jones, Archie Shepp, and Sheikh Amadou. She takes the lead on fights, invoking Shango, the Yoruba Orisha of lightning and thunder, to scold the barbarism that is FGM. She questions the perpetrators about the value of their work, singing, "Women stand up, come on, let's take to the streets, may all the forces come together, let's denounce, reveal all that is hidden." Rufino said of her involvement in the project, "The first thing was the concept. I mean, asking different female singers to team up and fight for women's rights by using music as the ultimate force is just amazing. I came running because I felt like this was a duty call. And even more than that, we come from different countries, yet we're facing the same issues in our hometowns. We need to show the world that there are no boundaries when it comes to standing for our rights. It felt like the universe put us together. We were fighting alone, and something pushed our energy to meet." Algerian singer Nassera Wale Mesbah is immersed in the traditional folk music of the mountains of Kabyle. She has joined up with the Algerian star Tak Farinas for recording and all his tours. Nassera also formed a female Algerian group singing shabby music. Here she delivers the incendiary Arabic language lyrics of rebels. "You have oppressed, insulted, humiliated us. We want to live free, live in peace. We will fight until exhaustion. The path is certainly long, but we will succeed." Ivory Coast chanters Kandagira grew up in the great cultural melting pot of Abidjan. She followed her parents to Burkina Faso, where she learned her skills on the club and cabaret scene. She first emerged as a singer with the great Burkinabe singer Abdoulaye Cissé and released her debut solo EP Tek La Ronda last year. On Sister, Candy questions her mother about the suffering of women. She expresses her misunderstanding of the customs that denigrates her and underestimates her intelligence. She observes that women are expected to obey without flinching. However, she sees a shift in women thinking and sincerely believes in helping women as a result of these inequalities. The song contains the refrain, "Women evolve and are not like before." The title track, Power, is the closing track, sung by 3 generations in 16 voices from countries in Africa, Europe, and South America, calling for a future without the threat of FGM, sexual violence, lack of education, and forced marriage. Women should be able to express their anger, things must change, and they sing together, "Never again, silence, violence." Among those joining the Amazons to deliver the message are Aminata Drama, known as Naku, who is a Malian griot from Muridia. She has worked with some of the biggest names of Malian music, including Sidiki Jabate, Toumani Jabate, Bassa Koukouyate, and Sheikh Tidiane Sheikh. Nancy Marulo toured her native Colombia with the Teatro Experimental of Cali before becoming the singer of the French-based cumbia outfit the Sombreros. Rosaline Belinga is a multidisciplinary Cameroonian artist living in France. She has sung with great performers such as Manu Dibango, Papa Wemba, Christophe May, and Jumeni Badi. Valerie Tribord, originally from French Guiana, is an accomplished vocalist and dancer, having performed with Cesaria Avoria, Bernard Lavilliers, and Tiken Jafakoli. Marta Domingo, a singer-songwriter and actress born in Zaragoza in Spain. Cameroonian Patricia Esson, who released her debut solo album in 2016, on which she reclaims her Bantu cultural heritage. Moesha 13, an underground icon, sings, performs, mixes and creates a unique blend of French rap and hardcore with an indisputable and sunny French touch. Most of her work is inspired by reggaeton and dancehall. Valerie Belinga, whose work is the perfect combination of jazz, sacred music and African songs. And finally, Abe Surya. Rufinio says of the project, "Power means everything. We are all coming together to change the rules that have been established for centuries. Women are taking over the world, you know. With this album, we are breaking the code by talking about violence against women and young girls, genital mutilation, forced marriage, gender equality. We want to make our sisters and mothers understand that it's up to us what makes us happy and fulfilled." Second album that we're reviewing is Flash of the Spirit by John Hassell and Farafina. It's out now on the Tactile label. This is the first ever CD release of composer and trumpeter John Hassell's seminal album from 1988, with Farafina's propulsive Burkinese drumming rhythms and melodic textures from balafon, flute, and vocals. The album is built on Hassell's Fourth World musical exploration of ambient soundscapes and was co-produced by Brian Eno and Daniel Lanois. Hassell served an apprenticeship with Stockhausen, studied Indian music under Pandyo Pranath, worked with the minimalist Terry Riley and Lamont Young, and collaborated with artists such as the Talking Heads, Peter Gabriel, and David Sylvian. He developed his path into ambient music through the partnership with Brian Eno on the album Fourth World One, Possible Musics, and Dream Theory in Malaya. Hassell found Farafina the ideal companion for exploring his moves into borderless imagined spaces, subtle layers and textures. The album opens with Flash of the Spirit, Laughter. What's apparent is how carefully the musicians listen to each other and the ways in which they respond, with the spaces being as important as the notes. On Night Moves, Fear, the keyboard frequency modulation is opened up over mesmerizing percussion. Era Freak, Wind, has added flute. On Outpours, Congo Blue Prayer, the groove simmers softly, led by shifting patterns on the balafon, while Hassell's heavily treated trumpet creates breathy swirls of sound that play and dance around them. The ethereal Cabot play has distinct call and response vocals. Like Warriors Everywhere, Courage sees Farafina's surging rhythms, Hassell's electric piano and trumpet dig deep into abstract melodic ideas hinted at by the Bitches Brew era Miles Davis band. This track is followed by Dreamworld, Dance. The ambient sounds of Tales of the Near Future, Clairvoyance, has stabbing keyboard chords along with a range of sound effects. This puts us in mind of the much underrated Maximum Joy album, Station MXJY. Percussion leads on A Vampire Dances, Symmetry, pushing and probing and seeming to force electronic shrieks at the response from Hassell's droning digitally processed trumpet, while the keyboard creates a throbbing bed of sound that refuses to hold still. The album closes with Mask, Strength, where percussion and treated trumpet draw the listener along on a journey through shifting landscapes. Farafina create the rhythms and counter-rhythms that spring and move, making room for Hassell's explorations. The trumpet techniques that Hassell developed to play the microtones of Indian music electronic and acoustic, let him easily slide through the music, creating a new, natural, transcultural harmony. The album remains a testament to both the influence Hassell has quietly exerted on contemporary music and the forward-looking traditionalism of Farafina, one of West Africa's greatest rhythmic ensembles. Suleiman Mani Sano, Farafina's bandleader from the early 90s on, said of the recording sessions, "Traditional instruments they can meet with electronic and modern music, so collaborations are so important to us. Yes, with John Hassell the experience was Jamaican." And you can check out a short clip of John Hassell and Farafina performing live at the Glastonbury Festival in 1987 on YouTube. Okay, now we move on to the February media, and the book is The Divine Song by Abdourahman A. Waberi, and it's published by Seagull Books. This is a fascinating multi-stranded novel using the biographical details of the African American singer, composer, poet, and novelist Jill Scott-Heron. But, as the author notes, our imagination is rebellious enough not to be content with confining itself within the borders of the great artist's life. Paris, an old Sufi cat, recounts the life of his master, Sammy Camoy Williams, the enchanter, who is best known for his song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." The story of the Divine Song takes us from the shores of Africa to the arrival of Sammy's ancestors in the Americas in the hold of the slave ships during the Maafa. Sammy grows up in Tennessee with his maternal grandmother, Lily Williams, while his Jamaican-born father travels the world as a top-flight footballer and his mother pursues education and employment. He goes to live with his mother when he is 12, but by then a love of literature, blues, jazz, justice, African tales, and religious practices such as Obia, Vodun, and Candomblé has been nurtured in him. Paris is on his ninth life when he is taken in by Sammy. He saw the cat as his moon, while Paris saw Sammy as his sun. He was the only member of his family to survive when his owner drowned his four sibling kittens and his mum. Paris had previously been called Farid when he was owned by a Malana in the 10th century. On page 57, Waberi writes, "Some biographers claim you can measure the importance of an artist by the power of his admirers or the fortune of his patrons. It was true in the past, in the time of kings and princes who protected performers. It's a lot more uncertain now that foundations have turned philanthropic and sponsorship has become a machine to deflate their tax returns." Sammy's relationships, peers, and influences are explored as a reflection of the entire African American experience. He is a leader, prophet, and healer like John Coltrane, Charlie Bird Parker, Billie Holiday, Sam Cooke, Jimi Hendrix, and Robert Johnson, playing music that comes from the beginning of time and travels among those who seek the thing. Sammy goes to Lincoln University, following in the footsteps of his inspiration, the foremost poet of the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes. The last poets perform there, and Sammy and Harry Gibbs, a thinly disguised Brian Jackson, are in the crowd, and it inspires the two to take their craft more seriously, and they set up the Midnight Band. Sammy is called the Black Bob Dylan, and along with the last poets will eventually be known as one of the godfathers of hip-hop. Sammy's father goes to play for Esport Club Bahia in Salvador de Bahia as they start to win local and regional competitions in the late 1950s. Here he finds a strong Bakongo strand among the people. After his career ends, he remains in the country, living in one of the Colombos where he feels at home. Waberi writes, "Every cat knows that in Bahia the Orishas, the divinities who left the African coast, live out in the open, right in the midst of everybody. They are celebrated all day and all night long in the joyful fountain of youth, and not only by the artists and carnival dancers. The voices of the common people resound in your ears, long after the old toothless tiger has stopped singing the last chorus of his praise of the divinity Shango or his acolyte Yemanja." Spirits is the album where Sammy refers most openly to the secrets and rights brought from Guinea and Dahomey. It sits in the same African-influenced firmament as John Coltrane's Africa Brass and Dakar, and the works of the likes of Sonny Rollins, Art Blakey and Illinois Jacquet. At this time, many musicians were adopting Islam or Buddhism as a way of escaping the cycle of drink and drugs and reaching a higher meditative state, as evidenced by John Coltrane's masterpiece, A Love Supreme. Sammy was part of the campaign alongside Stevie Wonder to get Martin Luther King's birthday made a national holiday. He penned anti-apartheid anthems and condemned the money wasted on nuclear weapons that could be much better used addressing serious social issues. Despite writing classic protest songs, Sammy becomes an unreliable performer due to an erratic lifestyle and a drug habit that sees him spending several spells in jail. However, his spirit is never dimmed, and there are always fans interested in the rights to his books and releasing his back catalogue and new material that still has his incisive observations on the state of the world. Waberi writes, "We have lost our faculty of wonder to the rhythm of the first of the song that goes piously from mouth to mouth, from slope to slope, from planets to constellations, the song that inaugurates the first step in life and gives the world back its waters and the motive for its presence." Djibouti-born Abdourahman Waberi is a prize-winning novelist, essayist and poet. He is Professor of Francophone Literature at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., so he may not be as well known to Anglophone readers, but this lyrical novel by one of African literature's rising stars is necessary reading for anyone who celebrates the resilience of art. Waberi has written over 10 books of novels, short stories and poetry, and the English translation of his short story collection, The Land Without Shadows, had a preface written by Nuruddin Farah. Okay, we're moving on to lyrics and spirits. O ye gods of the underworld, who set yourself up against me and who resist the mighty ones, the stars which never set have led me on my way. That is from chapter 78 of the Papyrus of Ani. The poem for this edition of Nubiart Diary is Nasty Livity. As you see me, so I stay. As I raise, so I play. I'm back on planet Earth. In truth, I've never been here before. For so long I've tried to stay apart, above, beyond. The hacklings, the pressure, the wars, the money lust. A man with a ton-up combination briefcase grudges giving me a plastic bag that won't even carry my shopping home without breaking for free. But world of souls in a hostile foreign land tell me it can't work. How do you pay bills? How are you going to reach Africa? What are you going to take back? Don't you think we deserve compensation for enough frustration? All around, not love, but so-called toleration. They think we are the robbers, rapists, liars, envious, lustful animals. But 10,000 years of my story tells me different. It doesn't pay the rent, but neither do money men. They expect me to pay twice. When I was growing up, they told me the first respect is self-respect. The worst oppression is self-oppression. I wasn't aware his briefcase only carried 2 crusty sandwiches and a Daily Telegraph. Am I meant to subsidise this nasty livity? That poem, Nasty Livity, was published by me in Of Slaughter and Consumption back in 1991. So we've come to the end of this edition of Nubiart Diary. You can contact us at Kubara Zamani, African Quest, PO Box 35165, London SE5 8WU. The email is africanquest1@hotmail.com and Twitter at Nubiart Diary. And I'll just end with our saying, talk sense or it don't make sense you talk. Thanks for listening to this edition of Nubiart Diary. Catch you all up later.